Question number 1. What is the name of the functionality that allows you to find and replace text in Visual Studio Code?
Great thinking. Find and replace is the right choice. Question number 2. To see the projects that we have worked on in the 2013 Visual Studio can be seen in the section Dash. Nice work. You chose recent and it is correct.
Question number 3. The following are the forms of application that Visual Studio can produce, except Dash.
Excellent choice. Use application is the right answer. Question number 4. What is the main feature of Visual Studio that enables cross-platform development? Nice selection, Xamarin and NetCore is the correct and valid answer. Question number 5. Which tool in Visual Studio is used for identifying and resolving software issues? Great job. Integrated Debugger is the accurate answer. Question number 6. What is the keyboard shortcut to comment on a line of code in Visual Studio Code? Clear logic. Your choice, Control plus is sound and 100% true. Question number 7. Which edition of Visual Studio is free for individual developers and small teams? Smart move. Visual Studio Community is an accurate answer. Question number 8. The following are some of the Visual Studio versions ever released, except Dash. Correct. Visual Studio 2018 is the right answer. Question number 9. The following are some languages supported by Visual Studio 2013, except Dash. Good job. Your answer, Java, works well here.
Question number 10. This is not the feature of Visual Studio Integrated Development Environment.
On track. Encryption is the correct answer. Question number 11. What is the name of the software that can be used to develop applications? Nicely done. Visual Studio is a solid answer.
Question number 12. What part of the Control Studio tools in the Visual Studio program?
Well reasoned. Toolbox is the correct choice.
Question number 13. The Visual Studio version that we will use in Peebo Learning is Dash.
Perfect. Visual Studio 2013 is the correct choice. Question number 14. What is the name of the company that developed Visual Studio Code? You got it? Your choice, Microsoft, is right. Question number 15. What is the primary use case of Visual Studio in game development? Smart pick. Creating games for all platforms is the correct choice. Question number 16. What type of applications can be developed using Visual Studio? You're right. Various types of applications is the correct answer. Question number 17 dash is the function key used to run a program in Visual Studio. Right again. F5 is a valid answer. Question number 18. The shortcut key to open Server Explorer in Visual Studio 2019. Solid response. Ctrl plus WL is a valid choice. Question number 19. What is the duty of the text box in the Visual Studio program? Strong choice. Get a message is the right answer. Question number 20. What is the text display box in the Visual Studio program? Valid point. Message box is true. Question number 21. What is the primary purpose of Microsoft Visual Studio? Well picked. Building software applications is the correct answer. Question number 22. Which part is used as a work area of Visual Basic? Net? Sharp thinking. Form is the right choice. Question number 23. This Visual Studio control serves to visualize images.
You chose Picture Box, and it is correct.
Question number 24. Visual Studio software manufacturing company is Dash.
Bravo. Microsoft is the answer.
Question number 25. On which platforms is available Visual Studio Code?
Exactly. Windows, macOS, Linux makes sense, and it is right choice.
Question number 26. Visual Basic. Net that can be used free of charge.
Good thinking. Community model is the right answer.
Question number 27. What is the main benefit of using Visual Studio?
Excellent. Increased productivity is a brilliant choice.
Question number 28. What is the latest version of Visual Studio?
Well done. 2022 is the right.
Question number 29. Visual Basic. Net is in which program?
Right choice. Microsoft Visual Studio. Net is the best answer.
Question number 30. Which company developed Visual Basic?
Correct response. Microsoft is the most accurate answer.
Question number 31. What is Visual Studio Code?
On track. A source code editor is the correct answer.
Question number 32. VB stands for Dash.
Excellent choice. Visual Basic is the right answer.
Question number 33. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? Or
Bravo. Contact Narayan Changder is the answer.